My name is Patricia. Sitting here now, I can still feel the weight of that hospital meeting, the tension in the air, and the raw emotions that were laid bare. It was a turning point, not just for my parents' care, but for my entire relationship with my family. Let me take you back. I come from a family where my sister, Amelia, was always the center of attention. Our parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, were a bit old-fashioned. My father was a strict but well-meaning man, always believing and investing in what he thought was the family's future. My mother, on the other hand, was more emotional and easily swayed by Amelia's demands. When I was 16 and Amelia was 19, our house was filled with excitement as she prepared to go to college. My parents threw a grand party for her, inviting over 50 guests. There was a huge banner that read, "Congratulations, Amelia, future CEO." I spent the whole evening serving food and drinks, while my mother told me, "Be useful, dear. This is Amelia's special moment." I barely got to eat, standing in the corner of the kitchen as Amelia received a check for $50,000 for her college tuition. I asked my father about my future education, and he simply said, "We'll see. You're more down to earth, Patricia. Not everyone needs a college degree." 3 years later, when I wanted to enroll in a vocational nursing program, my mother informed me that they had used the money they would have set aside for me on Amelia. "Don't worry, it's cheaper anyway. You're resourceful," she said. So I worked 2 jobs, cleaning offices during the day and waiting tables at night, to pay for my tuition. Meanwhile, Amelia graduated with a business degree and a brand new luxury car as a graduation gift from our parents. Amelia got married in 2002 to Henry, a wealthy entrepreneur. My parents spent a fortune, around $100,000, on their lavish wedding. I was a bridesmaid and had to buy a $500 dress. When I asked if the bridesmaids' expenses could be covered, Amelia just scoffed and said, "It's not that much, Patricia. Put it on your card." 2 years later, my boyfriend at the time, now my husband Tom, proposed to me. We were a simple couple. He worked as a mechanic. My parents gave us only $3,000 for our wedding. "Tom seems like a practical man. You don't need a big wedding," my father explained. On our small wedding day, at a backyard reception, I watched as my father danced with Amelia and my mother fussed over her hair. I told myself it was okay, but deep down, I just wanted them to see me. Fast forward to a few weeks ago. It was 3 a.m. on a Wednesday when my father's call woke me up. His voice was broken, sobbing as he said, "Patricia, your mother fell. I can't lift her. There's so much blood." I rushed to the hospital, making it in 15 minutes even though it was usually a 25-minute drive. When I arrived, my mother was in surgery for a broken hip. The doctor then informed us that due to my father's early signs of Alzheimer's and my mother's need for long-term rehabilitation, they couldn't live independently anymore. The next day, my father sat me down and said, "We need help, Patricia. Family helps family." I asked him, "Did you call Amelia?" The silence that followed lasted 45 seconds. Finally, he said, "She's busy. You've always been the reliable one. Amelia is more delicate. She couldn't handle this." I thought about all the years of being overlooked and working hard on my own. I knew I needed to stand up for myself. That evening, I sat with Tom at our kitchen table. He looked at me and said, "You've always said yes to them, but they never see you. Maybe it's time to ask why." I called Amelia myself the next morning. She answered, half asleep, and when I told her about our mother, she said, "I'm busy. It's your thing, you're a nurse." I pressed on, and she finally admitted that she'd sold the house our parents bought for her after her divorce and was in $100,000 of debt. Before the family meeting at the hospital, I decided to go to my parents' house to get some things. While looking for my mother's insurance papers, I found a notebook. It was filled with records of every financial gift they'd given to Amelia and me since 1980. Amelia's page was filled with details of college tuition, cars, vacations, and emergency loans, totaling over $350,000. My page had only a few entries, like a wedding gift and a small Christmas present, adding up to just $8,000. At the family meeting, Amelia tried to brush off her responsibility, saying she and her new husband, Derek, were still recovering financially. But I decided it was time to speak up. I said, "Before we decide who will do what, let's talk about what's already been given." I showed the notebook to everyone. The room went silent as I read out the amounts. Amelia insisted they were lies, but my mother confirmed it was all true. Amelia then tried to turn the tables on me, saying I'd been absent from family holidays. But Aunt Grace, my mother's sister, who was on the video call, remembered that Amelia had told her I was busy. In reality, I'd never been invited. I then laid out what I was willing to do. I would help coordinate their care, contribute $1,800 a month, and visit twice a week. But I also said I wouldn't quit my job or pretend it was fair if I was the only one helping. Amelia was silent for a long time. Finally, she said she'd try to contribute $1,500 a month. In the following weeks, things began to change. My mother was transferred to a rehabilitation facility near my home. My father stayed with Uncle George for a while. Amelia started sending money on time and even visited a few times. One day, my father sat me down in the garden of the assisted living facility where they were staying. He said, "I was wrong. I thought Amelia had more potential, but I was blind. You've always been the real strength of this family." 6 months have passed since then. Life isn't perfect, but it's manageable. I've learned that setting boundaries is about self-preservation. I don't have to be invisible anymore. I know my worth, and I'm no longer waiting for my family to see me. I've seen myself, and that's what truly matters. If you've ever felt overlooked or like the family backup plan, I want you to know that you can speak up. You have the power to change your story just like I did. Don't wait for someone else's validation. Start living for yourself.